Okay, in this video we're going to look at how 4 factors can impact aggregate demand: consumer confidence, business confidence, the value of the exchange rate, and overseas growth rates. So starting with consumer confidence, you also hear the word consumer sentiment, so they mean the same thing, so don't get confused. It's mainly a factor that's going to impact consumption spending. So when you're defining consumer confidence, it's a measure of the general level of optimism or pessimism about the future state of the economy in terms of what consumers think, or from a consumer's perspective. So it's a consumer's measure of the general level of optimism or pessimism about the future state of the economy. It's measured as an index number, so they give it the average consumer confidence is 100, and generally if consumer sentiment is above 100, this means that the amount of optimists outweighs pessimists, and if it's below 100, generally pessimists outweigh optimists. An increase in confidence generally indicates that households expect that their future income and employment prospects are improving. So consumer confidence is all about people's view of their future income, their future employment prospects. So for example, if I get the confidence that I'm going to get a better job tomorrow that's going to be earning $200,000 a year, then my consumer confidence would be high. If I think I'm going to get sacked tomorrow, I'd have weak consumer confidence. Basically, the fact is that when people are more confident, they're more likely to spend. So when consumer confidence is high, their marginal propensity to spend increases, or they're more likely to go into debt and less inclined to save. So during periods of low economic activity, our marginal propensity to spend generally falls as we're less confident and we're less willing to spend. So when you hear the term marginal propensity to spend, it's the increase in consumption that would result from a $1 increase in disposable income. So if I was likely to spend 90 cents of each extra dollar that I got in my income, then I would have a high marginal propensity to spend. If I was only likely to spend 10 cents, 20 cents of that dollar, then I would be considered to have a low marginal propensity to spend. Higher consumer confidence increases our marginal propensity to spend and leads to higher levels of aggregate demand. So when we're talking about consumer confidence, and even when you're defining it, you want to be aware of some of the factors that can cause an increase in consumer confidence. So this can come about from having personally better employment prospects. It may be that there's reports on the news that there's better global economic conditions, so people are confident that Australia is going to be exporting a lot, and therefore there'll be jobs available in the economy. If there's geopolitical events, so things like terrorist attacks and things like Brexit can reduce people's confidence. So these sort of things tend to scare people into thinking that their jobs are less secure, or they may be earning less income, and they will reduce their spending. Climatic conditions, particularly if you're living in areas that are prone to droughts and things like that, your livelihood is dependent on climatic conditions, so that can have a big impact on your confidence. And the stability of the government. If we have faith in the level of the government, in the quality of the government, then that's likely to improve consumer confidence as well. So you need to be aware of a few factors that can influence consumer confidence, and you want to get those into your definition too when you're defining consumer confidence. Business confidence. Business confidence is the general level of optimism or pessimism about the future state of the economy from a firm's perspective. So if firms expect conditions to improve, then they may be more willing to invest in new plant and equipment, and that's going to boost investment spending because they'll be confident they're going to make a profit, they'll be more likely to invest, and that will boost the level of aggregate demand. So again, the level of confidence or optimism or pessimism about the future state of the economy from a firm's perspective. If firms expect conditions to improve, they may be more willing to invest in new plant and equipment and therefore boost their growth and boost aggregate demand. Things that impact business confidence. So the level of business confidence is influenced by the state of the economy, whether they think there's going to be a high level of demand for the firm's goods and services in the future, whether they think their costs of production are going to increase. So if you get a sense that prices for oil and things like that are likely to rise, that can affect business confidence. And whether they think that the level of competition is going to be high. So if you're worried about high levels of competition, that can often lead to businesses being less inclined to invest because they're worried about their future. And inflation is another thing that affects business confidence. When inflation rates are high, businesses often worry about their ability to generate sales, and that can reduce the level of investment spending as well. Investment spending is the most volatile component of aggregate demand because businesses' level of confidence fluctuates so much. So the decisions about their spending on a number of unknowns, so they base all their decisions based on all these different factors, and that can lead to this component being quite volatile. The decision to invest or not is risky, and small changes in economic indicators can lead to significant changes in investment spending. I'm going to leave that video there and talk about the exchange rate and overseas growth in the next one.